Tom Brady was facing some resistance over the quality of his money. His money's no good in the NFL. Bert Breer, what's going on with this? The quality of his money. Ultimately, unanimously approved, but the quality of his money was brought up at some point, according to ESPN's Dan Graziano.
What do you have it in, $2 bills?
Can you give me some more context there on what he wrote?
Graziano described Brady becoming the owner as a big breakthrough at a time for players, but he also said that it was about him being in a different class of wealth than the owners of the NFL.
No, the reason they resisted was because Mark Davis was trying to give him a huge price cut, and the other owners said no because they felt like it would affect the valuations of all the teams. And I mean, really, it's fair to question how much of it actually is his money anyway, because his business partner Tom Wagner, not to get too far in the weeds, but Tom Wagner is the guy who owns Birmingham City, which is the soccer team that Brady owns a piece of. It's a huge money guy, and Tom Wagner is buying 5% of it, and Tom Brady is buying 5% of it. They're in partnership. So, I mean, there's like a little bit of a moving target there. How much of it is actually Brady's money? How much of it is actually Wagner's money? Seymour's cut in on this too. And I think part of the
Seymour getting his scratch.
Well, his percentage is much smaller. It's 0.5.
I get it, but
must have done pretty well. So
what if Tony made a ton of money in that poker tour?
Maybe he did. I don't know. But one way or the other, he's got good money, and he so I think for Brady, obviously, it's about being involved. Then I think at some point that's going to be from a football standpoint, but not right now. And then Wagner, I think this is about lining himself up to maybe eventually become the majority owner. You know, whenever, because if you look, and you guys know this, Mark Davis doesn't really have any. He's an only child who doesn't have children, so there's no real place for the team to go after he's gone. So Wagner could be lined up again. Brady's business partner could be lined up to become the majority owner in time.
Is the league going to enforce these rules for broadcasting for Brady?
They already have.
That's legit?
They already have, yeah. I mean, it's...
There are concerns from other owners that one of the number one broadcast teams...
Here's where you know what, McCone, I totally understand it, too. Here's where I think it can become a real competitive issue. And Zoe, you've been in some of these production meetings, so you know what happens. Like, it can be as little as... So say he goes in and he has a production meeting with the Bears or the Colts. And let's say that team, that coach says to him, which is normal in a production meeting, well, hey, watch the fourth receiver because we're not playing him yet, but we think he can really play. So if there's an injury, this guy's going to be a real player, right?
Yeah.
Say that guy doesn't play the rest of the year. Then he becomes a free agent. Now all of a sudden, what does that do?
Yeah.
I think that's just like a little example of like what can actually become a competitive issue beyond just like what's happening that week. Because I think that part of it, like what's happening that week, that part of it can be managed, you know? But I think there are bigger issues when you're talking about the way these things normally go. And so, and I think there's the other piece of it too, which is the other owners do want him to eventually pick a lane, you know? And so approving him as the owner, I think, is maybe a tell that eventually he's going to get out of broadcasting, and it might not be after the full 10 years at Fox. I think he wants to do football. I don't know where you guys are at on this, but like I think he wants to be involved in the football side. I just know enough people who've been asked enough questions by him, people who have worked for the Raiders, like that have been there over the. Like, again, I don't have anything concrete here, but you know, the fact that he was at the last practice last year, like he just randomly showed up at the last practice when he knew they were about to launch a coach and general manager search. I've heard Vrabel connected to that place, you know, like as a result of Brady's involvement. Like it's just, I think at some point he's going to want to be involved on the football side. That's just me talking.
Would he be good at it? Could he be good at it? Does he want to be John Lynch? Does he want to be John Elway? What does he want to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good track record right there, right? Like those two guys have both built teams that went to Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So, like, I think Lynch and Elway give him a good template. I think as much as anything, it's about – see, I think where Elway was really good at the management part of it and, like, could help a lot in scouting and team building and all of that. I think where Elway got in trouble was when he got involved in too granular a level. Like, he wound up firing his general manager and becoming the general manager himself. I I don't think John Lynch does that. I think John Lynch leans on other people a lot, and he can definitely do the job of general manager, but he also is aware of what he doesn't have as somebody who wasn't like, in a rental car in South Dakota at 23 years old. I think that's the key to it. If you're one of these guys, it's what you know for sure, but it's also knowing what you don't know and being willing to delegate some of that stuff. So if Brady could do that, yeah, I think he'd be really good at it.
Are the celebrations in Foxborough over now? Is Brady the Patriot dead?
Well, what's left?
The statue. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Because the numbers retired, right?
Not much more to do.
Yeah. I guess it's the statue.
Well,
And then,
4 years, Belichick getting in the Pats Hall of Fame.
well, don't they do some? Don't they do something where they put? I think most teams, like, you get your Hall of Fame ring. Like when you go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I'm pretty sure they'll do it where, like, they'll do a so-and-so night at the stadium, and then they'll give you your, like, Hall of Fame ring there or something. There's some sort of, like, back-end thing when guys get in the Hall of Fame where they'll have some sort of ceremony at a game with the team that they played for. So would that be done in Foxborough? Would that be done in Vegas? That's fair.
question.
I mean, I would think it would be done here, but maybe not if he's, the owner of another team.
See, I said this yesterday, too. I'd be a little worried if put him in charge of getting the offense going and picking a quarterback for the future. Like, because he knows the path he traveled.
Yep.
Yes, I'm not going to hand it to some guy that's been spoon-fed from day one. I want a kid to work for it.
Right. He hates the Brady six.
He hates the top 3 picks.
Yeah.
He wants the kids that are going to bust ass.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's like, but that's like the Michael Jordan thing, right? Like where you get in trouble is like when you project your own story too much onto everybody. I think that's like to me is the strength of Mike Vrabel or Dan Campbell, where those guys have been at so many different levels of the roster. Like Mike Vrabel, like, was a special teamer in Pittsburgh.
Right.
He wound up becoming so he's the guy who's just trying to hang on. He was a 3rd-round pick. Then he goes to New England and he becomes a Super Bowl champion as a role player. Then his role grows and he becomes a star player. Then at the end, he's like the veteran that's just holding on. So when Mike
veteran
Vrabel
pissed off to get traded away. He's been through everything.
Yeah, so
and had been through everything as a coach,
and Dan
too.
Campbell is similar. Like those guys can look out into the room and relate with almost everybody. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people think like star players aren't as well suited for these roles. Like Elway would be the counter to that. Elway obviously was really good at the job for a while before the wheels fell off at the end.
Let's grab some of your calls on this. Rob is in Rhode Island. What's up, Rob?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hi, Rob.
Hey, quick comment. You guys, in regards to Mayo being a puppet for Robert Kraft and losing control of the team, with that Barmore video, what does it say about that dynamic that he's all calling for, call Mr. Kraft, call Mr. Kraft? How come it's not call Coach, call Mayo?
It's a fair question. I asked that earlier in the show. Why are we yelling to call the owner of the team at 1 o'clock in the morning without a registered car? Why was that the go-to name to call?
Bad call.
Great question.
Bad
Call Kraft. Call for what?
Cop's like, okay, let's go call
Yeah,
him.
go ahead. Give him a ring.
Yeah, let's call
Yeah, see if
him.
you can get him out of bed.
I'll tell you, register your effing car.
Yeah. That is a weird, yeah.
We're screaming to call Robert Kraft in the middle of the night.
I hadn't
We're on the
thought
phone
of-
with Mom.
I hadn't thought of that. That's actually
Well, I asked the question, Bert. Who else has been told to call Kraft? Who else has called Kraft over the years when they've gotten in trouble? Was Jack Jones at TSA calling Kraft? Call Kraft. Call him. Who else?
well.
Was Jabril Peppers yelling at the Braintree police to call Kraft a couple of weeks ago? Call Kraft.
Well, they probably were in the past because they know what would happen if they called Bill.
Yeah, probably wouldn't end well.
Probably wouldn't. There probably wouldn't be soft landing on the other end of that
Don't
one.
be calling me at midnight.
Calling me for? Register your car. We're paying you $20 million this year. You can't get your
Christ.
freaking Jeep registered? Come on. Eric's in Somerset. What's up, Eric?
Hey, guys. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were. If the Patriots win on Sunday in London, do you think the Jaguars will fire Doug Peterson?
That's probably a better question for Bert. I would have fired him already at this point.
Yeah, I think
The guy's so checked out. He's become such an a-hole about it, too. What's his problem?
It's the podium stuff has been really weird
Brutal.
over the last month, and I think the one thing that stuck out to me is when a coach starts talking about execution usually that's not great because that's
All for it.
well, the players don't know, but the players in a lot of cases like take that as when you say it's about execution, the players are taking that as you're pointing the finger at me. And then you got a guy in the locker room saying, "Oh, well, that the team's quitting," and this is a big week for them because of that. Like this for them is a beatable team again. This is like the Jaguars get right game. If this doesn't go well, you're talking about having an owner who's invested a lot of money over there, who owns a soccer team over there, who plays two games a year over there. Who's got a new stadium project that's getting off the ground now, who needs credibility. And that's one I've sort of had my eye on for Bill. I think that's one where he could wind up.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.